Welcome to the Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. Welcome to just a whirlwind of hockey and fun times. And we talk about how we've got the NHL now, and we talk about how it impacts some people's lives. And I think maybe kind of an unexpected one happened to a good friend of mine and a local hockey player, and Tyler Murphy. Tyler, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, Jay, thanks for having me.
We'll get to the NHL change in your life, but I've wanted to have you on the show for a while because, one, like you and I have known each other for, 1,000 years at this point.
Long time.
And we played together for a long time. I consider you one of the premier players to come from here and keep playing from here, and you're in all those premier skates that I used to get invited to. But I don't anymore. I don't know why, Mac. Anyway, can you kind of start us off, like where you're from, when you started playing hockey? Give us your hockey journey.
Okay, yeah. So I'm from Taylorsville, Utah, born and raised here. My hockey journey started a lot later than a lot. I like to call it the Easter Bunny brought me a pair of rollerblades one year, and I was out rollerblading and thought this is fun but boring. And I was probably maybe 8 years old. And I picked up a golf club, little plastic golf club, and started hitting a ball around. And the next day, my dad brought home a hockey stick. And from there, me and my brothers played daily. Other kids in the neighborhood started playing daily. Ended up finding Salt Lake deck hockey when I was probably 12, 13.
Yeah.
Played there for a couple years. And then when I started going to high school at Taylorsville High, I found out the ice hockey existed other than the NHL. So I was like, wow, I'm pretty decent at roller hockey. I'm going to be like the best player on this high school team, and signed up. And I remember my first practice going to stop at the blue line, and I just kept going, and everybody else stopped and went the other way. And so that was my first time touching the ice, was in high school for Taylorsville High.
Yeah, that's funny. My first time really playing hockey was the Murray High tryouts.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You had all the roller hockey experience before, though, which is kind of different here. I think it was becoming more common when we had Juraskate and Salt Lake deck hockey.
Yeah.
Sadly, those have gone away. And I think I understand the Taylorsville Rec Center just pulled roller hockey out of there, too.
Oh, did they?
So now you just have Bountiful with their 3-on-3 sheet. So after learning that you actually had to learn how to ice skate to be a good hockey player here, how did the rest of your T-ville days go?
It went okay.
What years was that, by the way?
I graduated in 99.
Okay.
So, I just fell in love with it, kept playing whenever I could, found drop-ins I could go to, and I saw the University of Utah hockey team playing out at the A-Court Ice Center, and that became a goal of mine. Was I wanted to play for those guys, and did everything I could to play for them. High school was sometimes I'd play, sometimes not. I was also really small. In high school, I was maybe max height 5'4", 5'5".
What?
So really tiny. Yeah.
Holy crap!
Really
I didn't
small.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hit a growth spurt until after I graduated. So, yeah, I wanted to play for the U, and graduated high school, transferred up to the U and tried out, and didn't make the team, and was pretty bummed. And at that point, I went and got a job at the A-Court Ice Center and found out that they had just all sorts of open dead ice in the mornings. And so I'd go skate for probably 3 hours a day just by myself, doing whatever I could to make the team, and tried out second semester and ended up getting a spot on the team for the second semester of that season.
Well, that's cool. And that's one of the things, just the limited ice that you can get here. Because, Sam Littleton, who I think has probably got the best hands around here of a local guy. It's frustrating because I play against him all the time now. But
yeah,
he had the same thing, right? He had access to all the dead ice because he worked at the rink, or his dad ran the rink.
Yep.
And he did the same thing. He's like, I want to be good. So just go out there. And that's not a lot of people get that chance. You see it in young blood, right?
Right.
I'm going to go on the ice by myself and shoot pucks. You can't do that very often here.
Yeah, not anymore.
And you just put in all the work. You make the University of Utah, second semester.
Yep.
So tell me about your first game with the U.
Oh, I basically sat the bench the whole time, but I was still there, so I didn't care. I didn't know if I was there because I was another paycheck or a form of income to the team, or if I had made it, but I didn't care. But pretty much that whole semester, I was kind of like a line 3, line 4. I'd get a shift here and there, and I didn't do anything for the team, but as far as I remember, I didn't really hurt them. So, yeah, all in all, I was, at least just happy to have made the team.
Yeah. And then did you play the next season?
No, so I took a 2-year break and served a mission for my church.
Oh,
and
where'd you go?
New York City.
Did you play hockey while you were
there? We did find a little street facility and went to Play It Again Sports and picked up a few sticks. And so we did play a little bit, but not a lot.
Okay.
Not a lot at all.
All right, sorry to interrupt. So you get back from your mission.
Yeah, so I got back, and then at that point I was 6'2", which is the size I am now. And I wasn't planning on going back to playing. I had 2 years off, so there's no way that's going to happen. And I was on tracks heading up to the rink and ran into DJ Gilletto, who was going there that year as well. And he asked if I was going to tryouts, and I'm like, no. I just got back like 2 weeks ago. Like literally, I was like, no, I'm not going to go. And yeah, you should come out. You should come out. And so I thought, what the heck? Why not? So yeah, went and hit a couple skates, went and tried out, and made the team at that point, and was super surprised. And played for a semester up there. Brett Fuller was on the team that year.
Oh, nice.
And Stan Weiss was our coach. And DJ Gilletto as well, or some of the people may know. And played there for a semester. I was rotated between line 1, 2, and 3. Just kind of a grinder. Didn't really score a lot, but was actually getting ice and was thrilled to be there.
Yeah. And then, is that it?
No, and then so just recently coming back, I didn't have a lot of money, so I was able to get some sponsorships for the first semester. And, second semester was rolling around and didn't have the money, was going door to door to door and didn't get the money. And so I had approached the coach and said, hey, I can't afford this right now. I really want to play, but I can't afford it. And was basically told if I don't play, I'll never play for the team again. And probably 6-8 months later, I got married and still went to the school and never went and tried back.
Wow.
I just graduated to men's league.
Yeah. How much was it to play for the U back then?
It was about $2,500
for the year.
Yeah, for the year.
Okay.
For the year.
Yeah, I remember even playing at Weber, I had to go out and get my own sponsors and had to try to figure that out. Also, get married and try to pay rent, try to pay tuition, and try to play for pay for schooling. Yeah, that sucks, and it sucks that some coaches take it personal, and because maybe if they would have been a little more understanding about it, maybe you could have came back later.
Yeah, the U actually got shut down. That was the year that was at the end of that semester. So DJ went off to play in the OHL, and so he lost a few key players. And I don't know exactly what happened. You do. I'll let you discuss that if you want. But yeah, so after that semester, they got shut down for a few years.
Yeah, there were a bunch of problems that year, and I won't go into them right now. But I always did blame it on one guy that I played with because he actually. The U had a player spear a fan at an away game.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And that kind of was the beginning of the end for the U at that time. And now they've developed into such an amazing program.
Yeah.
So, all right. So then you're done playing. And is it really like at some point you really start standing out? Is that just men's league? You become a men's league hero?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I just love the game. So I continued working at the A-Cord and just skating a ton. A lot of times myself and DJ and his brother Nick would go out and just play in the mornings, and
that had to help playing with the Yelettos.
Oh yeah.
He was on the show and he told me how to say his name once, and it's like Yelito.
Yeah, it's Gilletto. I know. It's always going to be that for me.
Yeah, same. But because I asked him like, how do you actually say it? He's like, if you want to know how you actually say it, because that's not how he says it either. Mm-hmm. In fact, we're gonna have him on the show again here soon, but. That had to really help your game, having a guy like him around and just skating with him.
Yeah, I mean, even his younger brother was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so, we would just play. And then a lot of the managers knew I loved hockey, and I started driving the Zamboni, and they would leave and just give me the password to shut down, even though I wasn't a supervisor. And they would just leave and say, hey, close up when you're done. So I'd skate and play by myself at night. And then quickly, a lot of the groups that rented the ice at night to do their skates knew I played, and hey, do you want to come out and play with us? Because they knew they got an extra hour or two if I was on the ice and didn't kick them off.
Right,
so I was just playing because I love the sport, love to play. And then it was a Murray drop in during the day. Phil Schneider saw me and recruited me to come play with you guys. And then it was just men's league from there out.
Yeah, that was fun. It's really weird because a picture popped up. I have a little an Apple computer that just runs all my old pictures from back in the day, and back in the Rebels/Trillage hockey days pop up, and I'm like, holy crap, Murph was playing with us clear back then.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, back when you were handing out Trillage sticks.
Oh, yeah, the Trillage
I felt like
sticks.
a superstar. Wait, I get a free stick on a men's league team?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's funny because I was just dealing with Ian Cole from the Utah Hockey Club, and I had Ian when he was at Notre Dame, wearing the sandy gloves, using the Trillage, drinking the H2O Overdrive. Like he was one of our guys, so it's fun to see him come back. This is 15, 16 years later, and he's in the NHL, just killing it for Utah now.
Right.
Okay, so now you get married. Have how many kids do you have?
I have 2.
And do they both play hockey?
No, just one. The other one did competitive gymnastics for a while and is now doing cheer and drill at Murray High School.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Does it hurt you a little bit that your kids played at Murray?
No, not at all. So I played at Taylorsville, and I mean, Murray beat us 22-0 every time.
Yeah.
I still see the names of those players on the back because I just chased them the whole entire game, every game, and thought, wow, that would be cool. I wish I was one of those guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, not at all. I don't have any. I mean, Taylorsville doesn't have a team anymore, so they didn't bother me. So if he goes and plays for Murray, maybe he'll have a better chance at winning. So.
Yeah, and now at Weber, right?
Yeah, he's now playing up at Weber.
That's cool. That's cool. So now you have kids, and naturally, as a hockey dad, you got to get into coaching a little bit, right?
Yeah, you got to, or you're kind of pushed into it. Honestly, I'd never thought about coaching. When Braden was 3, he asked when he could skate. He'd come to my men's league game, said, "Hey, when can I start playing?" And so we put him in, learned to skate, and eventually got him on a team. And it doesn't take long before people kind of know you can play and you can skate, and you kind of get pulled into it. And so coached at the county for 3 years, and then we were going to stay at county because travel's pretty expensive, and heard that the Junior Grizzlies squirt B team was folding, and so they dropped the dues to $800, and so we signed him up and showed up, and within a week they're like, "Wait, you can play and skate." And I didn't tell anybody, but somehow they just know, and then you get pulled into coaching. So that's where mine started, was the Squirt Grizzlies travel team.
Yeah, it's a small community. Like if somebody sees you in the stands, they recognize you. They're from men's league or whatever, you're going to get pulled into coaching. Yeah. I tried not to coach Tegan when he was little,
right? Because
I just felt like, just go out there and do your thing, and then not let it be my thing.
Right.
Because he wanted to play too when he was younger. And then at some point they just keep pulling you in, and they're like, "Oh, come coach." Or there were a few times too that I was like, "This guy doesn't know what he's doing." But I didn't want to be that parent, and I wasn't that. I wasn't screaming or anything like that. I was trying to be respectful, and I wouldn't stand behind him and pound on the glass when he'd let in a goal or anything like that. But I was trying to let him have his experience. I never had that. I didn't play just like you. I didn't play when I was little.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just stay out and let him experience it. But then eventually somebody has to coach.
Right.
And if it's not you with some hockey experience, it's the other parent with baseball experience or, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's good that you stepped in to coach. But, man, I got really lucky when at some point while Tegan was coaching, and also from being a rep and being around, I got to pull some other people in to help me coach. I'd pull in Evan Stofflet, or, like we were talking about before we came on the air, I'd run my camps. I'd bring in the Parisi brothers to help have them run the camp for me. And Jordan Parisi clearly knows a lot more about goaltending than I did. And, Greg Lieb, get guys like that. And then I actually coached with Kevin Grant, who had a son that was Tegan's age too. And that for me was pretty cool because, it was one thing with Greg Lieb, because Greg was a Grizzly when I was an E-Bug.
Right.
But with Kevin Grant, he was a Golden Eagle back when I was a 15-year-old watching hockey. And you've kind of had the same experience. Yeah,
I was pulled into coaching the next year for the Grizz AA team. Some of the parents really pushed for the board. It's not. I was kind of like you. I didn't really want to coach my kid. I didn't want to, be put in multiple situations where, if my kid was one of the better ones, if I'm favoring him, do I look bad and then not give him the shot because he was, or if he wasn't the good one and I was delusional and putting him up on line one, then I'm that coach as well. So I kind of wanted to stay away from it, but kind of got drug into it. that second year. But yeah, I've had the opportunity of coaching with Kevin Guy up on the U16 Grizzlies team, and he kind of pulled me in, and that was a great experience to coach with him. Played several years in the National Hockey League, played for the Golden Eagles, and yeah, great coach and a great friend to the kids. So definitely learned a lot, and it was a joy coaching with him.
That's so cool. Like, it's what we talk about. I had Kevin on the show and just talked about how much he means. Like, guys like that mean, because we didn't have that. We're going to have way more of that now. I mean, the NHL is going to blow hockey up here. But to have those IHL guys that eventually went to play in the NHL, and I call it the Utah Trap. They come to Utah, they play for the Golden Eagles, they fall for one of our beautiful women, because Utah has just these nonstop beautiful women. Yep. I think we're underrated for it.
Oh, yeah.
And you're beautiful, too. I'm not taking that away from you. But that's how we get them back. They get married and they come back because, the women want to live by their moms or whatever. That's how I came back.
Yeah.
And it's so good for our hockey to have those guys around, and to have a guy like Kevin that grew up playing and played at the highest levels and then to be able to coach with him. Do you learn a lot from him every day, or do you ever get in an argument with him, or be like, oh, I'm going to do it this way, or you just?
Oh no, I'd never argue with a guy like that. Like, I realize where he has been and how long he played, and yeah, basically I just sat there and just soaked it all up. Every once in a while I'd have a few ideas as far as maybe line combinations, like, hey, let's try this or that, possibility. But yeah, I think he probably got a little more annoyed with me because he'd be like, hey, so what do you want to do at practice today? I'm like, dude, whatever you want. I'm just here to kind of help you. You're the head coach, and just basically just learned whatever I could from him. And a lot of it's just his relationship with the players. He's a players coach.
Yeah.
I think I only saw him yell maybe twice, and it was warranted yells. You'd travel and kids aren't playing, and yeah, he would get after him. But most of the time, like, I'm just fuming and I'm like just ready to strangle some of these kids. And he's just encouraging and very positive, and great influence on the kids.
Yeah, he's as good as I just love that guy so much.
Yeah.
And now I'm just fortunate because I play on a couple teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the one I play on this, I call it the older team, which is something coming from a 51-year-old, right? Mm-hmm. But I play with a lot of 60 and 70-year-olds.
Okay.
And it's fun to go on those trips with those guys. The hockey's brutal. And to be out there, we got, Kevin Guy was playing in the NHL. One of our other guys comes up from Indianapolis. He played in the NHL. Then he reffed in the NHL.
Oh, wow.
And we have these guys that have really good experience, but they're just not shooting the puck anymore, right? Like, it's, and you just go out and you just get to hang out with these guys on a road trip, and then go out to these nice steak restaurants after.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, you say every year that, like, the hockey's so bad. And it is. It's still fun, right? We're all the same level. But it's just fun to sit there and listen to Kevin Guy tell stories.
Yeah. We all forget, though, it's really not about the hockey. Even in the youth, those kids don't remember, who won what game. They remember what happens after. And even though we get all caught up in it, even for ourselves in men's league, we forget who we played 2 years ago in the championship, yet we get all caught up and mad or whatnot, yelling, and it all comes back to just the experiences you have after.
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time on the show, as the camaraderie, and people joke, like, when I was getting business cards made for a company a little while ago, they wanted to just put Jay Stevens, I know a guy. Because no matter what it is, you need a car, I know a guy. You need an appliance fixed, hey, I know a guy, right?
Yeah.
You know where I know all these guys from? Playing hockey, playing men's league.
Yep.
Like, the majority of my friends and all of my connections come from going to play in men's league.
Right.
It's pretty awesome. The other experiences that you get with playing. So you coached for a long time. When did you switch to the other side of the force there and become the dark side guy? When did you put on the stripes?
So I've wanted to ref for a long time. I just love the game, and so being able to play it. At one point, I ended up picking up goalie gear as well because I wanted to see what it was like to be a goalie, and found that actually helped my forward game. So I played player, played goalie sometimes, then coached, and had always wanted to ref but didn't have time to ref with my son being in travel hockey and splitting time with my family. And then when Braden turned 16 and played for the Park City 16 AA team where he was coached by Mike Adamek, I didn't have to coach anymore that year. They had a coach and they were good to go. And I'd always wanted to try reffing. And so at that point, Braden also needed a job. So we both signed up to give it a shot. So that's where
I don't think I realized that you guys were doing that like a father and something. Have you ref games together?
Huh? Yeah, they actually like to schedule us men's league and youth games together. So we do quite a bit of them.
That's
together.
Awesome. I know Tegan and his friend Cody Grant, they talked about reffing for a while, and I thought, man, it's fun. It's hard work. I reffed at Salt Lake Deck Hockey back in the day.
Okay.
That's how I paid my dues, right? Or my fees or whatever. And I remember just reffing a few games, and I just remember one time calling a penalty on a guy, and I can't remember who it is now, but he looked at me, he's like, hey, I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but you still just slashed a guy. Like,
right.
You go sit in the box, we can still be friends.
Right.
How was that experience? Because, I mean, you've coached, so you've yelled at refs, and now you're getting yelled at all the time. Tell me about, like, what is that like?
It's definitely interesting. One of the other reasons I guess I got into reffing, which will tie into that question, was, we all show up to the games where the ref's probably not as qualified as he should be.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. Their skating's not up to par with the level that they're reffing, and I thought that, well, hey, I'm a pretty good player. I see the game well, so I'm going to be a good ref. So I want to come out and ref so that I can take that horrible experience away and make it a better, positive experience with somebody who can ref at the level they're that they ref at the level that they're actually there to ref for. And you get on the ice, and my first set was D4, D5 men's league, and you call a penalty, and they're like, "Do you even know what you're doing? Can you even play hockey?"
Yeah,
and it was just mind blowing. Like, I thought I could. I mean, I thought I was going to be a good ref, but as a player, the game's black and white, 100%. That was a slash. How did you not call it? That was a trip. How'd you miss this? How'd you miss that? And then you become a ref, and you realize that there's not really black and white. It's just gray. Everything's gray, and there's different shades of it. And so now you're trying to decide what's a penalty and what's not a penalty. And the whole viewpoint of the game changes. And going from, hey, I'm going to be this awesome ref, to within the first week, wow, I'm not a good ref. At least everybody's telling me I'm not a good ref. I thought I was making the right call. It sure looked like a trip to me. And then you realize maybe I'm not. So it's definitely an eye-opening experience to ref. And I know people have said everybody should try reffing.
Yeah.
And I almost think it should be a requirement now for men's league that you can't play unless you put on a ref sweater. One game and just see what it's like.
I have no problem with that. I think that's phenomenal. When I was lucky enough to play for JP Parisi, he was very adamant that you never talk to the ref as a player.
Yeah.
Just don't argue any call. And he also made all of us read the handbook. Like, you had to go through the whole rule book. And you had to know it, and we had quizzes on it. Like, you have to know the rule book.
Yeah.
And that was very interesting, because at that point I'd maybe played 30 games in my entire life.
Right.
And then I'm playing for a guy like JP, and I didn't know any of the rules. I thought I did. I knew what, my Murray High hockey coach had told me was a rule, or that,
Yeah.
Mike Heyman and Drew Radcliffe, the guys I grew up playing with, that always broke the rules. They were telling me what the rules were. But I didn't really read the rule book. And then when I started reffing, you're right, it's a whole different look at the game.
Yeah.
And I've been learning a lot from soccer refs too lately, just watching stuff on TikTok. It's very interesting to go to the other side and ref those games. And another thing I've tried, and I've said this on the show before, I regret saying it, but, like 4 or 5 years ago, I really started trying to work on myself, be more stoic, be a better person all the way around. And I was like reading all these books, not yelling. And I was always taught as a goalie, you're communicating the whole time. And I had a couple coaches that were like, hey, when you see a hook, yell hook. It'll get the ref's attention, and he'll know that's a hook. So I did that for years. And then I was talking, I think it was Brett Fuller one time, was like, dude, I know when it's a hook. Just stop yelling. And I'm like, I don't even realize I'm doing it anymore.
Right.
So I tried to stop that, but there was one ref, and I've said it before, he called a trip on me, which it was not a trip. I was making a save. And I came across, and he called a trip, and he's telling me something, and I go, don't try to tell, you can't even turn left. Are you going to try and tell me the game? And then I could tell I hurt his feelings. And it makes me feel like crap to this day. And I've done it a couple times with refs where I've made it personal and I shouldn't have made it personal. Does that happen to you a lot?
Every
game?
Well, I mean, almost every game. Yeah, I mean, almost every game. It's like, doesn't matter what you call, you're getting something from somebody, whether the player's telling you you're dumb, you're blind, you're an idiot. And a lot of the times it's just, whatever, just go sit in the box. And other times it gets pretty bad. Yeah. But I mean, even as a player on the flip side, I still find myself sometimes, I'll start hollering at the ref and I'm like, just stop. And, some games get a little worse than others. We had a championship game last year that, I felt bad for like 3 weeks. I mean, I'm standing there and the player's grabbing my visor, just like ripping it around right in front of the ref. And I'm like, okay, I know that's a 5-minute major in a game misconduct.
Yeah.
And he's just watching it, like no penalty. And so it's hard for me to not say anything. And then like 3 minutes later, our player's chasing a player behind the net and they're kind of pushing the ref. The ref turns around to skate away. And when he turns back around, their player's on the ground and he calls us for tripping, but didn't see a trip. And I started getting like mad at that. I'm like, you didn't see it. And I got a little, I turned back into a player for a minute. You feel bad about it and you kind of forget and realize, okay, no, I just need to calm down. They're here doing the best they can. And so it can be hard both ways, but it's rare to go a game without being told that you're dumb.
Yeah.
Or blind.
And that's frustrating. And you know what? When I was coaching and one of the first years when I was with the Golden Eagles, right? And I was going to be the head coach and I had a player parent meeting or a coach's parent meeting and all the players there, all the parents were there. And I just said, listen, it's getting hard to get officials. Mm-hmm. And this was years ago. It's way harder now. I'm like, it's getting hard to get officials. You have to realize that, like, let's just be happy they come and drop the puck and that they call offsides and stuff like that. Whatever else happens, don't jump their case because it's, they'll get a grudge. And you've seen it happen. I know it's happened. Yeah. And it's hard not to, right? You're human. Yeah. And if some guy's yapping at you the whole time and then you see him maybe do something that's in that gray area you're talking about, you're like, nope, you're going.
Right.
So I tried so hard to say that forever. And now are you seeing more of a decline in refs? Are you getting more refs every year?
Yeah, the reffing numbers are going up. I don't know the exact numbers, but there's a number of new refs every year. The other hard part is, I was talking to Mike Vuich, who was on the reffing board, and like 75% of first-year officials don't come back due to
the abuse.
That's my guess. That's definitely crossed my mind. All the time. It's like I'm here to make a difference, and I mean, if I'm just going to be yelled at the whole time and told that I don't know what I'm doing, then why am I even here?
Yeah, it's not worth the money.
Yeah, I'll let the other guys that are here for money. I ref for. Because I originally thought that I was going to be good.
Yeah.
Whether I am or not, who knows?
I think we're going to get into that, right?
I guess, we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, it just starts wearing on you to where, you're like, maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm just going to quit. And so I can definitely see how, an official who's only played hockey for a couple years or not even played, just, likes to ice skate and thought they would get into it because they like the sport. I can see how they would definitely walk away for sure. And, I kind of took it upon myself to try to help with that after people would just start yelling at me. And, I'd hear stories. My kid would come back after he'd ref a game and he'd tell me stories. And, I kind of made it my own personal goal to, help try to put a stop to this. And so, if somebody starts, verbally abusing me, like I'm pretty quick to throw them in the box.
Yeah.
And I've gained a little reputation of, oh, you've got thin skin. And I'm like, I really don't. I mean, I don't care what you say to me. You can say I'm blind. You can say I'm an idiot. Well, I know I've played longer than a lot of these people, so I really don't care what you say to me, but it doesn't give you the right to be able to say that.
It's time to learn the consequences.
Yeah. So I'll just start tossing people in the box. And, I've taught my kid to do the same thing, and he's pretty, I call it hip crazy because you can give somebody misconduct and tap your hips and set them in the box for 10 minutes, or you can do 2 minutes. You're supposed to start with 2 in the youth hockey and then go to 10, but I was in a tournament in Chicago and the guy was just handing out 10-minute penalties and, showed me in the rule book, you can actually go straight 10. So I kind of started doing that to make it even worse for these players to maybe they just won't run their mouths and, they still, can't you have some fun? And I'm like, no, I am having fun. You're having your fun. Yeah. I'm having my fun by putting you in the box. And
it's way more fun without listening to you yap at me the whole time.
Yeah, for me. But then, they're like, don't talk to that guy. He's just going to put you in the box. And it's like, no, I mean, if you want to come up to me and say, hey, dude, come on, that's not a penalty. Why is that a penalty? Or you don't want to have a conversation with me, great. But if you're going to yell at me across the ice and start swearing at me, then you're gonna sit in the box, whether it's 2 minutes or 10 minutes.
Do you have to pay your dues when you start roughing? Do you start at the bottom? Is that the plan, or? And I'm just talking about Utah. Like, I've had other refs on. I've had Wilner on all the time. He's fun to make fun of. He's not here to pick on anymore, so we're gonna have to start picking on somebody else. But do you start at like youth league and then work your way up to junior high age, or like if you're Tyler Murphy or like Ben Wilner that's played at high levels? Mm-hmm. Do they say, hey, you've played at high levels and now you can ref at high levels?
I think everybody has a different path. There isn't a defined path from what I've seen. My experience, I started out and they put me on men's league D3, D4 for the first couple times.
Those are the worst ones.
I had thought so until I had probably one of my worst experiences with a D1 team.
Really?
Just probably 2 months ago, this summer championship or semifinals. So
that really surprises me because as a goalie, I hate playing D4, D3 because I'm more likely to get hurt. I'm more likely to get sticks where they don't go from guys digging for rebounds or just not really understanding the whole flow of the game. Mm-hmm. And I always figured D1, the guys kind of know what's up. Yeah, we have some hotheads. Mm-hmm. I've had to separate you before at a drop in, right? Like we have some hotheads we play with, but for the most part, the guys know the rules and they know when they break them.
Yeah, and
but
generally
your worst was a D1.
Yes, year to date, my worst was a D1 just a few months ago. But normally it is D3.
Who was it? Call him out. Who is it?
No, no names, but it has to do with the abusive official. And I mean, just a quick rundown. It was semis, and down by the net, dark player gives like a hip check into the light player, and his feet come off the ice, so it's pretty decent little hip check. I mean, it's not like he destroyed him, but you can't throw a hip like that in men's league. And so he hip checks him, and I didn't see how the other player's stick hit him in the face, but apparently the other stick hit him in the face. So we're tick for tack now. Even if I had seen it, I would have been like, okay, there's a hip check, there's a high stick. At that point, I can blow my whistle and send them both to the box, and some do. I don't. If it's even and the game's still going, then we're just going to play on. And the player that got hit in the face, got mad, stopped, went to cross check the player in the chest, and it slid up and hit him right in the face.
Ooh.
And he had a mask on or cage, so it didn't do a lot of damage. And at that point, I put my arm up. Okay, we're taking you for cross checking, and just the players on the dark team just swearing at me.
Yeah.
Blankety blank.
I just heard this story.
Did you?
From somebody. Yeah, I heard the player talking about it.
Yeah, so I'd love to. I shouldn't say I'd love. I heard their side. I shouldn't say I'd love to hear their side. I heard their side.
Yeah.
So we're skating to the box, and my trigger word is you. So if somebody's going to say you did, you blank, you whatever they're going to say, if they're going to direct it at me and say you, that's an automatic. I'm putting you in the box. I don't even care what you say after.
Okay.
If you're going to start attacking me personally rather than being frustrated, you're going to sit in the box. And so we're skating off, and from what I heard, he says, "What are you, 10?" And so at that point, dark team's going down. One man. My options are, for me, my standard, I'm either putting you down 5-on-3 now, or I'm going to give that player a 10-minute misconduct, which just hurts the player, not the team.
Right.
I was like, semifinals, you're going to sit for 10, and we're going to keep it 5-on-4. I thought that was best for the team, and
sounds fair. Sounds like you thought it through. Yeah.
That was my reasoning behind it, and I just they wouldn't leave it alone. Just constantly how horrible I am, how soft I am, and the part that even makes reffing even harder is the player comes up to me after the second period and he's all, "Why am I sitting in the box?" I was like, "When you directed at me, you're going to sit." And he's all, "I said, what are we, 10?" I'm like, now I'm questioning myself. Okay, wait, did he say we and I heard you? I don't know. I swear I heard you. You directed you. What are you, 10? Either way, that's me or him. So now I feel really bad that, did I put him in the box longer than he should? I don't know. The game ends. The team loses big time anyway.
Right.
The player that was in the box for 10 minutes didn't have a goal all game. He was sitting for 10, but it's not like I took out their best player. So I'm talking to the other ref in the parking lot. And one comes up and he's like, "Yeah, that was kind of soft of you to do this." And I tell him the story that what I just said, and he's all, "Actually, I can see your point on that."
Oh.
And then 2 more guys come out and then just start cussing at me, telling me how horrible I am. And for the next 20 minutes, they're off in the parking lot drinking, yelling at me, making signs. And it's like, I play with you guys, and I'm a similar level. I would think that there would be a level of respect of, okay, well, hey, he's been around a bit, but that all goes out the window when you're playing hockey.
Right. It is crazy. One of our first guests was Matt Brickley on this show, and I talked to him about it. I'm like, most of the time it ends, right? Like, game's over, guys go to the locker room and they figure it out, and they're like, all right, like you said, we don't remember what happened. This is my chance to get some cardio, but it's crazy to me that sometimes it does carry over into the parking lot.
Yeah, it's the only time I've had it carry to the parking lot. D3s, usually they'll run their mouth on the ice, you put them in the box, and they're not talking to you the rest of the game. They're just talking behind your back how soft you are, which is fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't care. If you're not abusing officials, then my goal's done.
So let's fast forward a little bit, and I'm all excited because, I'm turning on the TV, and I tune it in. I had to hand the remote control to my son. I'm like, Tegan, give me my channels, because I can't figure out how to find out how to stream onto the TV. And game 1, Utah Hockey Club, rookie tournament. Tegan gets the screen up, and the first face I see is Tyler Murphy on the ice with the NHL, with the top picks from the Utah Hockey Club over the last few years. And I'm like, I know Murph pretty well, and maybe it's been a couple of weeks since we skated together, but how did that happen? Where did that come from? Because, that's got to be pretty cool for you, and that's got to be a unique opportunity for a Utah ref to get pulled up to an NHL rookie tournament.
Yeah, maybe I had so many complaints that came back that they're like, hey, this guy's hopeless. Maybe if we take him here, that he's going to
The best way to get him out of Utah Men's League is to put him in the NHL?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe. No, so it started probably November. I was getting even more frustrated with reffing, with players, was, possibly questioning quitting reffing. Wanted to do more higher level games here and wasn't getting them at that point. And so I was like, hey, I think I just might walk away. And email came out from the USHL, which is arguably the top tier junior program in the United States. And it basically went out to a ton of refs saying, hey, we're looking for candidates for USHL Combine. If anybody's interested, fill this out. And I put it in my junk folder because I was like, I'm too old. I'm not clueless. I know that if I go to a combine and get selected, they're not selecting me because they want 20-year-olds that they can work through their program. And it was like a week later, just got frustrated again. It was like, you know what? I'm going to apply. I don't care. I'm going to apply.
So it was either quit reffing or go try the USHL?
I mean, honestly, at that point, it's kind of you put it that way, it sounds pretty ridiculous. But yeah.
I get it.
I mean, I was like, I want to.
You said you were going to try to ref. You tried to ref. You ref for several years.
Yeah.
And then there's an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, just the person I am, I try something and I try to do the best I can at it and go as high and as far and as fast as possible. Yeah. It's just who I am in my job and in my hobbies. And that's kind of reffing, and my ceiling was a little limited at the time. And I was like, well, I mean, Wayne Gretzky says, a shot not taken is a goal not scored. Right. So I filled it out, and 3 weeks later, they sent an email out saying, sorry, we've had an overwhelming amount of responses. We're still fishing through these to try to figure out who we're going to bring out. And a week later, got an email saying you've been accepted to the USHL Combine.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I'm going to go. I'm going to feel out of place and awkward, but I'm going to go. So they booked my flight, hotel, went out, and basically the Frosty Cup is a AAA tournament put on by the USHL for players to come in so that they can be scouted by USHL scouts. And then they take referees into it and bring retired NHL officials in to mentor those refs during the games and give them feedback and whatnot. So they scheduled our Friday, Saturday games and, varied between banding or lining. They did the 3- and 4-man system. And after each period, they would come in and basically tell us, hey, here's what you're doing good. Here's your critique. And, here's what you could do better. And basically was getting a lot of good feedback. Like, hey, just minor little things. Like maybe if you position yourself a foot over here, you'll have a better sight line. but overall phenomenal.
Yeah.
And basically every game I was at the rink and I would go in and I would just sit there and listen to all the stuff that these NHL referees were telling everybody. Even if it was my game, I'd just walk in and sit there and listen, because it was, amazing to have that experience there one-on-one with these people. And so then they scheduled the semifinal and the championship games off of your critique, and I got the bands on the 15 AAA, and then they gave me the line semifinal, and then the line spot on the 18 AAA championship game. And that was the one that everybody wanted. They were hoping for. Everybody was looking, and I got it and was super excited. Did a good job. Sat down for an exit interview, and they're like, "So what do you want to do?" I was like, "I want to ref as high as possible. Wherever that is." I know I'm older. I think I was 42 at the time. The closest age to me was 28. So there's a huge age difference. I was like, I know I'm older. So I don't know if that's just college juniors back home, but I want to ref as high as possible, wherever that is. And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And then it ended. And then in August, I get a text from Mike Lego, the NHL referee, scheduler, or whatever he is, saying, "Hey, we talked to Al Kimmel and Dave Smith from the USHL Combine, and they recommended you for working the NHL rookie tournament. Are you interested?" I'm like looking at my phone, like, who's this Mike Lego guy? Like, I didn't know who he was.
Oh yeah.
So I Google him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's this guy's legit.
Nope.
So then I reverse look up his phone number on an app I have, because I'm like, somebody's pranking me.
You thought you were getting punked?
Yeah, like seriously. I was like, why would you take a guy who's never done pro hockey, semi-pro hockey, all I've done is college and juniors here, straight to an NHL rookie combine tournament? Like, there's American League officials, ECHL officials, there's people that have been doing it. I've been doing it 3 years, so it didn't register. So his number pulls up, Mike Lego. I'm like, show it to my wife. She's like, "You're going, right?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, if it's really, they haven't made a mistake, yeah, I'm going."
They got the wrong Tyler Murphy?
Yeah. I mean, that kept going through my head. I had a work conference planned that same weekend as the tournament that I was going to cancel. So I responded back, said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And he's like, "We'll be in touch for travel information." And a few days later, my wife said, "Have you canceled your flight for work?" And I'm like, "No, not yet. I'm still waiting for them to."
You don't want to jinx it too.
Yeah, to come back and say, "Yeah, sorry. The person we were, I didn't know what was happening. It was surreal that it was even an invite." And then my plane flight was booked to LA. And so then I canceled my work tournament and didn't sleep for 3 weeks.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. And so how was it? Like, getting out there, did you have pregame jitters? Were you pretty freaked out? I don't even know what it's like to make that level as a ref.
Yeah, no, it was, like I said, 3 weeks just laying in bed. Like, every time I even thought about it, just like, I didn't feel like I was going to throw up, but those nerves would just shoot through your body. Like, oh, am I really going to go do this? And yeah, so 3 weeks straight, and then hop on a plane and fly out there. And, you walk in and we're in the ref room, and it's, NHL officials room. And, you feel like you're living in a dream. And then you start hearing pucks hit the glass, and you walk out and see these players, and it's, night and day difference between anything that I've seen or officiated here. And they scheduled me the very first game of the whole tournament. So I wasn't able to sit there and watch and, kind of get a feel for it.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for you?
In the long run, I think it was good.
Yeah.
There was another guy there that didn't have a ton of experience as well, who was younger, and you could see he was just like sweating bullets all day long. So at least I could just jump in, and I'd lined enough games that I knew what to do. It's just how nervous and exciting and scared to death it all was that kind of made it a little difficult at first. But like 5 minutes into the first period, things started to settle down a bit. Extremely different than anything here. There's no time to sit there and think and take a break. Like some of the college and juniors here, a play will happen, and then you can kind of let your mind relax for a second, because you're just constantly thinking and moving and looking. And there was a chance to relax here, where there I learned quickly, there's no stopping.
So fast.
And
so fast. Yeah.
Just the 20 most intense minutes of my entire life.
That's incredible. And then I saw you too, like throw guys out of the face-off dot, and like you just took charge. Looked like you felt comfortable doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I quickly found that it was actually a little easier as far as the game was to work those NHL games. The game's just so much cleaner. The guys are throwing passes up the ice, and I feel one of my strengths in hockey is I can read the play real well.
Yeah.
And so like I could see him coming around and be like, oh, that's going here, it's going here. And that's, kind of went there. Whereas, you'll come here and be like, oh, play's open behind the net. They're going behind the net. And so you kind of relax and they turn to shoot the puck right at you and hit you. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like the play's over there. And so it was a lot easier. Like say the passes were spot on. It was way faster, but they would pass it up the ice and it wasn't, hey, is this going to be an icing? Is it not? I mean, they'd catch the puck and then go with it. And it wasn't as back and forth as some of the play here. They would get in the zone and set it up and kind of work around. And so as far as like that stuff, it was easier to line than stuff here, but it was just so fast. So, and, we had a meeting the night before with Mike. He sat us all down and said, hey, you guys are all here for a reason. Everybody just have fun with it. Enjoy that you're here. You're going to make mistakes. And, we don't care that you make mistakes. It's a rookie tournament. Sure, it's the NHL, but, just relax, have fun with it. I wish I was in your guys' shoes to be able to go out and play or to officiate, but I'm not. So, yeah, just relax. And, a lot of the guys there, super, super good guys. Like, not one time where they we sat down the night before and we were introducing ourselves and one guy's like, so where are you from? I'm like, oh, Salt Lake City. Oh, so do you do the Grizzlies? And I'm like, no. He's all, what do you do? I'm like, NCDC. And he's all, what's that?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's, I guess our version of the Null out west is the best I can kind of, it's not quite as high as the Null, but I guess that's what I can compare it to. He's all, I mean, no offense, but why are you here?
Yeah.
I'm like, good question.
How did you get here from there? Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, good question. He's all, I mean, Mike reached out to you, so you're here for a reason. But yeah, no, that's just interesting. So, but the guys are really good. Like never once, I mean, he was joking around about that, but never once was it, oh, I got to work with this guy. He doesn't have an American League jersey.
Yeah.
They were all super good and encouraging. And so, yeah, it was a really good experience.
Have you reffed here since you've been back from there?
Yeah.
You got a little more swagger now, or like?
No.
Look, guys.
No, I actually tried to keep it quiet.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't go around announcing it before, and
I posted it,
and I still don't, because it's right place, right time.
I took a shot like before the game even started. I took a picture of you and put it on the Utah Puck Report page. I'm like, look at this, because I thought it was cool. Like I've known you for a long time, and like for me, the stuff that's been going on and with the Utah Hockey Club and being at their practices and stuff, I'm like, look, I'm kind of in the NHL. Like I'm working, doing stuff for the team. I'm helping with stuff. And it's got to be the same. Like you just did it. You were just out of the NHL. That's huge. It's not the way you maybe wanted to, not the way any of us wanted to. Like, but it's just amazing to be a part of such a huge thing. It's cool, man. And I was just proud. I think everybody's been proud to see you out there, and it's been fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I've had a lot of good, a lot of people send me text messages. Hey, I didn't know you were doing this. I'm so happy for you. And
I think I was one of those guys too, eh? Like right away.
Yeah, you were the first. Like, looking good out there, buddy. And I'm like, well, I guess he saw and it zoomed in on me enough on the broadcast to show it was
literally,
me.
Like when Tegan put it on, I'm like, that guy skates like Murph. And then it was on your face. I'm like, that's Murph. That's crazy. Are we going to, have you gotten phone calls from the ECHL now? Are you going to be lining or banding for the Grizz?
No.
Is there a different path for that?
Yeah. So there are different organizations as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Mike Lego did tell me, he's all, hey, if we had an American League there, I thought you did phenomenal. If we had an American League team, then we would use you in a heartbeat.
Okay.
So maybe in a year or two, that would be awesome.
I'd say 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year. Yeah. That'd be even better. He did say he reached out to the scheduler of the Grizzlies and said, if you ever need a guy, this guy, did great for us in the NHL rookie tournament, and I'd put him to work if I was you.
That's gotta have weight.
They have guys though. So if their guys are going to keep doing it and fill the role, then I don't foresee getting a phone call or anything like that. But maybe if, some pandemic hits and knocks them all out and there's an opening for me, then I'll slide in. So,
yeah. That's just crazy, man. Well, it's what a ride. Like, what a ride from beginning to end. And it's you said some things during this interview, and I want to point them out so that people, when they're thinking, like, how did he do that? How do I get there? When you talked about all those times you were on the ice by yourself, and from beginning to those skates with the, how did we decide we were going to say it? Yolitos?
Yeah.
And then even something you said just in, like, all those meetings that they were having, whether they were your games or not, you're in there learning. And for people that are listening, if you want to know how to separate yourself from the pack, it's that. It's like, it's going in and doing all the work. There's no glory behind that work, and there's definitely no glory in being a ref. But being on the ice by yourself when nobody knows, it makes you better.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel like they have to post it or whatever, but man, just doing the work, that's how you get there.
Yeah. Yep.
What would you say to anybody else right now that's thinking about reffing? In Utah, you've got some 15-year-old, and then there's a 21-year-old that just wrapped up playing at the U. Give us a pitch on what you would tell somebody to get them to ref now, or would you encourage somebody to become a ref?
That's an interesting question, because reffing is, it is a two-edged sword. I enjoy reffing when it's good, and when it's not, then, as I mentioned, there've been times I just want to walk away and quit. And that basically, it all depends on, I guess I talk to other refs and, they don't care what people think. I want everybody to have a good time and have a good experience out there as far as players. So it bothers me when people think that I've ruined the game. So for me personally, that makes it difficult, which is kind of, I think, why I like lining more, because I don't have a big outcome on the game, but I can be there and have a good time. But all in all, being a ref it's enjoyable to go out, to get on the ice, to be a part of the game. And, if it's not something that you enjoy the game, as everybody says, it pays really well. My kid's done it as his, mainly his only part-time job, and has survived off it just fine for the bills that he has. But I definitely encourage everybody to ref. It's funny, the guys that will run their mouth at me and whatnot, I'll say, hey, if you want, let's switch jerseys. You should come try this. And they're always like, no, I can never ref. Yeah. And so I definitely would encourage everybody to at least sign up and try it. I'd hate to say sign up and, at least just give us one game, but it definitely changes the perspective of the game. And I think that refs would stick around a lot longer if people experienced it and kind of saw what it was like. And then maybe it would be a bit more enjoyable for guys like me that, care that the game goes right. And like I say, I just get, I leave a game and I'm like, I'm just downtrodden. Like, I was here to help you guys and to make things better, and instead I just made a bunch of people mad.
Yeah.
And so that part's hard, but I definitely think that everybody needs to throw on the sweater and experience what it's like.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's sad that refs leave the arena feeling that way. And I know there have been times, like I said, I made it personal, and I regret it every day. Yeah. And I try to be a better person for it. Man, I don't even want to play in games anymore. Like,
yeah,
I'll just go to drop-ins now and just figure that's good enough for me. But if you're thinking about it, at least try it. And if you're one of those guys that just chirps and chirps and chirps, go be a ref. Try it out. See if you put your money where your mouth is.
Or at least ask them. Instead of yelling, ask the ref, hey, why did you do this? And you may disagree with why, but the ref did it for a reason. And I remember skating by a bench and get a men's league guy yelling at me, hey, call it both ways. And I just turned to him and said, do you really think I care who wins this game? He's all, well, I guess you don't. And I'm like, okay, then.
Yeah.
I call it what I see is what I call. And what I see is going to be different from what you see because of our angles. But yeah, if you want to chat with me, I'll talk to you and tell you why I called it.
You didn't put money down on a game at Caesar's Palace before the men's league took off?
Yeah. No.
Perfect.
Not at all. So.
Well, Tyler, I appreciate you, man. I'm proud of you. I've enjoyed playing with you the whole time. You've always been a good dude. And it's just awesome to see it. And I really hope that, this year when I'm e-bugging, I hope I still get to e-bug, that you're out there lining sometime. And I really hope you keep roughing the men's league, because they need guys like you out there. We all need guys like you out there. And it'll be fun to see if it doesn't happen in the ECHL next year. I'm almost positive we're going to have the AHL next year, and it'll be amazing to see out there.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, thanks, Jay. I love your podcast. I listen to every single one and appreciate you taking time to do this to get information out there to us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, and that is the Utah Puck Report. Want to give a special thanks to Chipman Roofing. These are hockey people supporting the hockey community. It's Chipman Roofing. For all your roofing needs, just check out chipmanroofing.com. And if you like what you hear on the podcast, please leave a review, leave a rating. Wherever you listen to your podcast, make sure you give us a rating. Like to check out kslsports.com as well. There's going to be more hockey on there. As more hockey comes up, it's going to be always right there, kslsports.com. Big thanks to Madison Miller for putting up with us and making this thing work.